Welcome back. This is Professor Phil Snyder at the University of Houston, and we're going to be doing a tutorial on a walk cycle with this character I call Space Girl. You can call her Spice Girl or any other kind of girl that you want. Just be nice, because she's going to help us all out. This is a free, fully rigged character that I downloaded from turbosquid.com. And as you can see in the outliner, I've added a couple of lights here in addition to the default light set. I add a directional light, and you can see that I got it set at 0.405 intensity, and an ambient light, which I have down here, which is set at the default of 1. If you go to the rendering menu, which I have this set at, if we go into the render settings, I have it set on Maya hardware, and we have it set to PNG. So we'll have an alpha channel, and since it's going to be an animation, we want it set at a multiple frame setting. This is the one I like. Now your model may not show the textures like this one does. If it doesn't, then you need to, well, first of all, you need to set your project so to its new location since you downloaded it from another place. So let's go to File, Set Project, and then navigate to where you have it. Mine is in Space Girl, and then Set. I already had it set, so that's why it went there. And if your textures aren't showing up, then you need to go to your Hypershade. So open up your Hypershade if it's not open already, and we're going to select Boot, and once you navigate to where the textures are, you only need to select one of them, and then Maya will find where the other ones are. So select Boot, and then we're going to navigate to where that's located. So click on the texture icon here. That'll go into your render node, and look for File, because it's in one of those files that accompany this. It's in the source images file. So you can see right there, those are the ones. So we're going to navigate to that, and now that we've done that, we've selected File, then we just click on this File folder and go to Boots and click on the JPEG and open. And that will bring up the textures, and you can see automatically it adds the textures to everywhere else because it's found the folder. Make sure to save on a regular basis. And then we're going to do this walk cycle in 1 second at 24 frames per second. So you need to set this at 24 frames for the end frame. And you'll have an alpha channel mask. We'll be using the perspective camera. And make sure your preset is at HD 720. You can set it at another one if you want, but for the assignment you're going to be turning it in there at 1280 by 720 or 720p, and everything else should fill in just fine there. Alright, and let's go over to the Maya hardware. We'll leave it at the default. So I'm going to the Select tool, and you can see the various controls that she has on her. We could also call her Elastigirl or Elasta Woman if we want, because she is very stretchy. She'd be very good for squash and stretch if we wanted to do that. But we're just going to do a walk cycle with her, a simple walk cycle. But you can see she has all kinds of controls. You can also, if you want to make her talk, you can do that as well. Let's go into the animation menu, and under Windows, go into the animation editor and shape editor, and there you can do all kinds of controls with her that are preset. You have all these phonemes here, preset, and facial expressions. So let's zoom in on her and we can get an idea of some of the things that are available. So kind of a blow position, F and V, and eye wink. That's the right eye, and then left eye wink, and so on and so forth. This is fun to play around with, and it's a good tool for practicing working with blend shapes. You also have an eye tracking control here for the left eye. And the right eye. Or you can do them both simultaneously. So let's get started with the walk. You never start a walk cycle in the main T-pose. Let's start with the left ankle, and it's easiest to be precise if the walk cycle is done from the side view. Make sure you're on the first frame, and we'll start at the extended position. Rotate. We need to bring her down in the first frame at the extended position, and then she'll, as the legs pass through, then she'll be going back up. So just try to eyeball it to make it convincing. So that's pretty good for the first position for the left leg. And again, in 1 second here, we're going to have her walk a full cycle. So the left leg will start here, go back halfway through, and then return close to the same position. So press S to set a keyframe there at frame 1, and then we want to set the right leg at its extreme position. So somewhere right around there. She's just going to be taking average length steps, and set a keyframe there. After you set the first keyframe, then the auto key will automatically be extrapolating from that and inserting keyframes whenever you move the object. All right, let's go to frame 13, and let's move this foot up to right about the same place where the other one is. It looks pretty good. And let's move the left leg back to the approximate position where the other one was. Rotating. And this is a pretty high poly model, so it might take a little longer to get those movements. Alright, so there's the first position, and then the second position. Pretty close. I think I'll move this one a little closer to more closely match the other leg. That's good enough. And on this one, maybe rotate it just a little bit so it's closer to where the other one is. That's good. Okay, so we got that much. And now we want to copy and paste these first positions into the last position. So let's right click copy, and we're copying this position here to frame 24. Paste. And we're going to do the same now with the left leg. Copy and frame 24, paste. There we go. Now we have a roughed out full walk cycle. And we need to do all the stuff in between. So let's set a keyframe for the hips at the lower elevation. And the same for the lower elevation at the end. And also the same here at the middle extreme. Okay, and then the hips will go up with the upper body at the halfway point. So let's go to frame 6. The left leg needs to be flat on the ground going back, because that's what it's doing. It's going back from the front to the back and it stays on the ground, whereas the right leg goes up. It's bent at the knee and goes up. Okay, so now that we've done that, we need to raise the hip so the leg is passing through is fairly straight. We don't want it completely straight. And let's copy that, and halfway through the second half of the cycle, 18, let's paste that position for the hip. And so now we've got something more resembling natural movement. And let's now animate the midpoint for the right leg, and it's going to be bent on the first pass through. Rotating it. And then coming back flat on the ground. And then the left leg is going to be bent on the second half of this and rotated. And let's see how that looks. It looks fairly natural. So let's zoom out, take a look at the whole body at this point. Well, I think you could do better with motion capture, but it's not looking too bad. And now we have to animate the arms and give them a realistic looking swinging movement. So we got the control here, and let's bring it down. We'll have to rotate the hands because the hands are constrained. So rotate that down. All right, now remember, since the left leg is forward, starting with the left arm should be back. So let's just keep rotating it and moving it until it looks reasonably placed. Okay, so always leave a slight curve in the elbow, and so it kind of follows sort of a curved line, an arc. And if we wanted this to be more natural looking, we would go in and curl the fingers around a little bit. We can do that just some. I don't want to get too much in the detail of it because we're doing a walk cycle, but I would select the controls on the hand, shift select, shift select, shift select, and rotate them to provide kind of a little bit of a curl to them so it looks a little more natural. Go ahead and animate the left arm first fully. Select her control there and press S and right click. We want to copy and then go to last frame and paste. And then at frame 12 we want her to go the other end of the move. Rotate the hand. Let's see how that looks. Maybe rotate it back a little bit. Let's see how that looks. Play it. At the pass through, you can see it's kind of, the elbow's kind of bending more than we want. So select it, go to frame 6 and straighten it out some. And the same at frame 18. Copy and paste it. Alright, let's take a look at it now. That's looking a little better. I think it looks a little too straight here at this point, so let's move it back some. See if that hand looks okay. Looks pretty good. Alright, now we need to do it to the right arm. So let's swing her around, get that control, and move her into position. And again, it's going to be the opposite of the left leg since it's the right arm. Need to rotate that hand to a somewhat realistic position. S. So I want to get the positioning here of the right arm to match what we already had for the left arm. So let's go to frame 12, which is about halfway in between, and we can see that the right arm is not matching the position. So let's bring it down like that, and let's copy that position to the first frame. And the same for the last frame. And then we need to reposition it back here and try to match the other arm and hand for that, for its extreme. Let's rotate that. Or it looks like the right arm is going not quite as high as the left arm is, and that extreme. So let's try to match that visually. See how that looks. That's pretty close now. So let's go back into the perspective, and of course at the pass through point we're going to, like we did with the left arm, bring the arm down a little bit, rotate it some, and the same on the other pass through. Actually, we can just copy like we've been doing and paste. And let's take a look at this and see how it's playing. Good. Well, and of course she's looking at her body. Her arms and legs are moving pretty well. Got a little flap going on there halfway in between, which kind of looks strange. On the hands, this you can see it easier, I think, if we look here. So it's kind of, she's doing some kind of weird thing there. So let's take care of that. It's like they're swinging out on the halfway pass through. So let's eliminate that. Copy and paste. And same with this one. Copy and paste. And we didn't really put that curve in the hand like we did with the other hand, so let's do that. Alright, let's see how that looks. Still got a little flapping going, but it kind of adds some nice secondary movement to the hands, I think, anyway. Not too bad. That body's looking pretty stiff, so let's add some movement to both the neck and the torso. So she's going to lean forward just a little bit as each leg goes forward, and then back as each leg goes back. So let's start off with the first frame, with her slightly bending forward as she steps. And this has gotten too stretched out, so let's move this just a little bit to compensate for that. And then let's copy those to the last frame. Copy. And the same with the torso position. We want that same torso position halfway through as the right foot goes forward as well. So, but first let's Let's do the back position for it as at the pass-through point. And we're not going to move it a whole lot, just enough to give it a realistic look. Then copy that to the other pass-through point. Okay, and then let's see how that looks so far. Yeah, that's better. Still a little stiff looking, but it's better than it was. So I think a little bit left and right too on that would help. With the left leg forward, her body would be moving slightly to the left. Copy that and paste that. And then with the right leg forward, she would be rotating slightly to the right. Let's take a look at that. There you go. That's looking more real. And we want her head to move a little bit. Maybe bob a little bit to the forward and back and left and right. So select the head control. Go to the first frame. So we'll make the head follow the body a little bit by rotating on the exterior of the sphere and do it kind of halfway. So we're tilting it a little bit forward and a little bit to the left side. And since that's the first one, let's add a keyframe there. And let's copy that and paste it to the last frame. And by the same token, on the other end of this, we want to rotate her head slightly forward and slightly to the right. At that point. So let's see how that looks. It's pretty subtle, but we're not really wanting her head to bob a whole lot. Just a little bit. We could probably add a little bit more to it. Let's do that. Okay, so let's just bring it a little bit more, give her a little bit more personality, a little bit more human gait in her walk. And then same with this one. A little more forward, a little more to the left. There we go. I like that. We might even halfway through at 6 bring it back a little bit more, and also at 18 the pass-through. That's looking better. Okay, there are a lot of other little tweaks we could do, but I think that gives you the idea, and depending on the personality or the kind of gait that you want for your character, you can add or subtract or multiply or divide. But for now, it looks pretty good. And I'm going to render this and output it, and we'll take a look at how it looks. So we're going to the rendering and render settings, Remember, we had all these render settings and Maya hardware on this one. Okay, and we want to go to render and batch render. And we can watch our status bar, and it should render pretty fast as it is. Then we can take a look at our rendered images. Looking pretty good. Do an F check. And Command A is for animation. Navigate to where we've got this. And of course we need to make it go real time, so uncheck every frame. And there she is. Not bad. You did a great job, everybody. And of course we want to put it over a background, but she's just a walking in the dark there.